Now, what can you tell me about the jetliner incident?
That occurred in 1969, around mid-July, the day the astronauts left for their historic moon mission. Now, I started off in Milwaukee, first of all, hitchhiking. I had hitchhiked down to Milwaukee and studied how luggage is being transported onto the jetliner, how the crew acts and things like that. I observed that from the windows. Then I hitchhiked back up to Appleton, and a few days later back down to Chicago. I went down to Chicago this time to O'Hare, and looked over the entire airport. And I found a jetliner, comparing the schedules where they were going, where I wanted to go. And I made the mistake of asking a ticket agent. I recall the first question was, "Are your undercarriages pressurized?" And she glared at me and she said, "What do you want to know that for?" I said, "Oh, I'm sending a puppy to Europe. I'm sorry, have to ride in the undercarriage or the luggage compartment." She said, "Oh," that really settled her down. And this jetliner that I took to London, it was scheduled to go to London. And I looked the entire airport over for a way to get out on the runway. And every door said no trespassing, but one door said exit. All the other doors said exit, no trespassing. One said exit by itself, and that meant that if I used that door, if I got caught in the process, I wouldn't be prosecuted for trespassing where I shouldn't have been. Once out on the tarmac, I observed what the flight or what the baggage attendants were saying, what their lingo was, and from behind a car, the parked row of cars against the building, I could hear them shout out London, Frankfurt, London, Frankfurt. And I then rushed out to them with my little underarm duffel bag, all my belongings in it. And I posed as a baggage handler from another part of the airport.
You say you posed as a...
Yes, with my civilian clothes on. I just used the lingo that they're using, and I don't really know anything more from what I studied by listening to them. And I ran out to the jetliner, giving them the idea that I was caught in another area, leaving early for a big party, and I was very angry, and I couldn't even use the English language. I was so mad, swearing and everything like that. And they understood that I wasn't mad at them, but I didn't want them to ask any technical questions like what sector do you work in, or I wouldn't. If I answered wrong, they'd say you must be new here, like today or something. You don't work here.
Right.
I don't want to let them catch on, so I just kept on conveying the idea that I was extremely angered and I missed a big party, missed a big weekend. So when they went on a cigarette break, they just merely gave me the motion like that and left, and I had the whole jetliner to myself. Then I was sitting up in the 4x4 door, luggage door, and I waited for a minute and scoped out the interior to find a hiding place. I didn't want to disappear right away, thinking they might have been watching the jetliner for a while. I wanted to give them the idea I was waiting for them to return. But I did get up in there, and I found a little tunnel formed by luggage being stacked on this bench. Think of a quarter circle against the side and belly of the plane in a flat surface. I crawled back in there and took somebody's pulled away luggage and concealed myself with that. And I was right by the door, the 4x4 door. They came back, returning, and they shut the door, loading a few more bits of luggage on, and then they left. And then felt the engine start up, and a moment later, and I could feel us run down going down the runway, picking up speed in that. Then a moment or two later, the door opened up again. We didn't even leave the ground. It was just the sensation. It was just, you're in a pitch dark, and you feel these things that really aren't happening. The door, they put on a few more late arrivals, possibly luggages, and then they shut the door. And then the jet's engines really revved up, and then I could feel it move, the difference. I could feel it move and take off. I started to get my way out. Now this was pitch dark in there, and it was hot as could be. It was out of January, mid-July, and I tried to fumble my way around. I tried to feel my way around.
Again now? It was in January, you say?
I'm sorry, no, in July, mid-July.
Oh, okay. So we're talking some pretty good
mid-July
weather at that time.
Yeah, and it was very hot, and I felt my way around trying to get out. Now, I was trapped in there. It was like a casket, man. It was just no place to move around, and just very close to insanity, losing it. Being not. This was the ultimate experience in claustrophobia. And you never had it before, but here it is. So I just kept calm. Try to find a strap that I could snap, that I could unsnap. Every 4 feet they have these canvases to keep the luggage in a certain area that it doesn't in bulk, shift when the jets banks to one side or the other in the air. So I could not find a strap for quite a while. I did find a strap when I did find a strap that strapped me in, I pushed it out. And I jumped out of that, crawled out of that area, and as minute I noticed the door, I could see the outline of the door, the 4x4 door. I could see the sunlight coming through there. You think that this may be like, I didn't pause another moment. I dove to the opposite direction, to the left, and I could have bumped into something solid. I don't know, but I was at least away from that door. It would have sucked me out and all the luggage with it. I didn't think about it after that. I was in a safe area, but it was noisy. The temperature was beginning to drop, and so was the pressure. All night, then I quick wrapped my extra clothing around my ears to muffle the sound, the awful sound. And then the ceiling started to leak. Condensation took place and dripping over the luggage and things. I found a little portal in this door leading to the computer department in the nose of the jet. I stared in at that. I wouldn't dare open up the door, jeopardize anything. I just so that I could stare at that. It would occupy my time. Something with lights to stare at inside, dim lights blinking, the panel blinking and such.
Yeah.
Something to take my mind off and the sight off pitch darkness. And the extent of the noise, tremendous noise, and it began to drop down to about the 30s or so, it seemed. And but I had to use the extra clothing around my ears. I couldn't afford to put anything around me to keep warm. Within about let's say an hour or two, we made emergency landing somewhere because it was scheduled for the first stop would be New London or London, England, and this was somewhere only a few hours into the flight. It was dark then, and the light around the door had disappeared because it was dark. And after we landed for a while, they began to work on that door that I was only 6 feet from. And that must have been it to close that door properly. That was quite an experience, being near a door that was not properly closed. We went on to London, and it was following morning, I would say about 11 o'clock or so it seemed. We left about 5:30, 6:30 in the evening. I think it was a Thursday evening, I'm not sure. But the following morning we landed in London, and it wasn't even a few moments, not even a minute, when that jet touched down and people were disembarking already. I didn't have time to get back into my hiding spot. The door opened up quickly, luggage door. The first thing the guards, the attendants asked me is, do I have any fruit, And I looked around, puzzled like that, fruit? And they looked at the computer door, and they noticed that it was still locked. And they said, "You wait right there," realizing that I boarded that jet somehow as an illegal passenger. They got the security people and took me off into the interrogation room at the airport, at Heathrow Airport in London, and questioned me extensively and put me on the first jet back to Chicago. On the flight back, the attendants came back and talked to me and tried to soft talk me, get answers out of me. And at O'Hare, there was quite a few reporters and a crowd gathered. I don't know, they must have, I don't know how they got wind of it, you know.
Was that where the tarmac was?
Well, this was in the waiting area. This was in the reception area, and there was quite a crowd there. They must have followed the cameramen around from various agencies. The Post-Preston was also there with their newsmen, and they took me away into this room. And first of all, the Pan Am agents questioned me, and they wanted the money back. They wanted that. They wanted the full money back, and I was quite scared. If they'd asked me maybe one more time, I think I would have surrendered money to them. But one guy threw up his hands and left the office and said, while the other guy remained questioning me, he said, "You understand we have to make an effort. We do have to make an effort to get the money back." I said, "Yes, I understand that." I was very scared, and when they let me go, the FBI came in and questioned me, and they asked me quite a few questions for some time, and they released me and told me to keep quiet. Likewise, the Pan Am agents, to a certain steps that I discovered, and certain procedures I discovered that weren't right.
Why did they ask you? Did they say why they asked you to be quiet on the door?
That might jeopardize security, because first of all, I did find a way out onto the airport, which would allow anybody to go out into the runway, the tarmac area, service area. And secondly, I now realize that it was the luggage door that didn't close properly, and also that jeopardized maybe everyone's luggage, maybe my life for sure, but it may have caused extensive damage on a jetliner. Who knows? Might have strewn luggage throughout the countryside on people.
Do you think that would be bad for the business?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, public opinion was on my side. The more I knew what went wrong, the more I conveyed to the Pan Am agents that there was condensation dripping on the people's luggage, and the door wasn't closed properly. They began to back off on their severity and asking me questions, and went on to other lengthy questions that wasn't too threatening.
Did they ask you what your business was? I mean, why you...
Yes, they did ask me why I did this, and I stated I just wanted to see what the world was like. Wanted to visit my friends in Ireland I'd met on a previous trip.
They found that kind of hard to believe, that you would go through such extent to just see the world. I mean, was there any questions like related to you being maybe a spy for the KGB or something along those lines?
Nothing on it. Nothing on that particular trip. On other trips, I did come across people who related to security on the ships, on an ocean liner that I'd taken over 2 weeks later, which was a successful trip to Southampton, England from the port of New York. But on this particular flight, there was no security involvement, any touchy matters on that order, other than the malfunctioning of the preparations.
So the deal was, if you kept the subject of the door being open for the emergency stop, if you kept that quiet, that then the charges would be dismissed, or how did that work out, that that they were assured that you're not going to speak about this door being
very good.
open on the Pan Am?
At that time, I was a little kid, 20 years old, maybe 19, 20 years old, and I probably had the facial features of a 15-year-old. So being in public's eye then, and in the news, it had been a big company picking on a little kid who just wanted to see the world. So they did let me get by with that, as long as I didn't damage anything on the jetliner. But I was a witness to a potentially great disaster.
Oh?
Being right near that door and not closed completely.
Now the door. Now you seen this door opening, and but it wasn't completely open. But did you feel any air suction, or now if that door were to open, what would happen? What do you think would happen?
That did decrease the pressurized cabin somewhat. Although through the excitement of everything and the pitch darkness of the area I was in, I really didn't give that much consideration. It was pretty trying to the nerves and on the nerves at that time. You know, the darkness and the screaming jet engines and the frigid temperatures.
So you had no warning of this emergency stop?
No.
Maybe you assumed it, or just no.
I did feel
the timing.
Yeah, I did feel the change in pressure and slightly, and I did feel the loss of altitude for one thing, and the major thing.
When it was landing, when they first landed, did you know that it was something unusual going on, that the landing happened too soon? I mean, did you keep timing of how the trip was? Did you know something was going differently?
I was unaware of the time lapse, involved, but I did know that it takes you a great deal longer time to get to London, and when the plane did land at the halfway spot, which there was no registered halfway spot on the scheduling, because if there would be, there'd be luggage put on the door, and I just heard them from 6 feet away. I heard them pounding on that door and making adjustments and closing that door.
So otherwise, you wouldn't have been caught.
I would have probably, sad to say, I would have been caught in London anyways, because I didn't have time to get into my hiding place, and chances are I'd never have the same chance to reverse it, like to making them think that I'm part of the luggage crew, and or I came through the door. There might have been a chance I might have gotten away with it, but at that time, England had the toughest security in the world because of terrorist activities developing.
So now Pan Am, they didn't want the police or the media or anything. Did they try to keep it away from the media, or they didn't suggest that you talk to the media? I mean, to keep you like totally out of the picture. Did you make the papers that time like you did before with the other incidences, or how would you?
Oh, I see. They made they had given me strong hints that I should keep this quiet, and not too evident that I would have something over on them, but enough to scare me that I should just, on respect, just keep this quiet. They made it seem as though I should just, through politeness, keep this quiet.
They were
emphasizing that.
They were a big company at the time. Pan Am was like the leading airline.
Yes, one of the leading airlines. It's remarkable that I found the schedule as quickly as I did, starting with nothing, even having to borrow a pencil and paper in the airport from some other agency down the line, gathering data as to where jets were taking off the schedule and where I wanted to go in Europe.
So now most of the things that you did, were they, I'm sure a lot of it was premeditated, like you made plans, but would you say the percentage of everything you did, was it, were you thinking on your feet, or was it premeditated? How would you put that?
A lot of it was spontaneous luck, and
do you think the average person, let's say a below average person, do you think they could pull off such things like that, or do you think they would give up after maybe one or two times?
If the mind, if you had it in your mind to do something like that, now a person with let's say a little less
you have to have a little, you have to be a little avid
ambition, would maybe take greater time in planning it out better.
You didn't take much
it's
time.
A different, no, because it was much different from the layout of O'Hare, and you're not right out on a tarmac as you are out on a tarmac as you, different from your earlier planning at Milwaukee Mitchell Airport.
Did you ever freeze up maybe at times and certain risky situations, or you just keep moving forward, or how did you handle it when you were scared?
Very nervously. I do not have that poker face where you can lie, or where you can come off as a cool person. I was scared, and
Not
so
you.
I was very scared at the time, and the risk that I'm taking. Each step you get further and further into it where you can't turn back, and then you cross that Rubicon line where there is no return, and such as getting aboard that jetliner, sealing yourself off. And
when you were living in those times, when did you start sharing these stories with people, like maybe a girl at a party or someone you brought home?
For sure.
Did you share these stories right away, or did you wait until you completed your stage of stowaway?
That's good. I have it back in my mind all the time to keep it quiet. Only my closest friends I reveal the secrets. They would never try it, but it was fun sharing the adventures with them.
You didn't influence too many people to try that?
No, at one point in the before
Pan Am was trying to stop that from other people. So, you're saying it's possible to get a free ride from Pan Am. I mean, other than the door being open, maybe that was part of the deal too. Or I don't think anyone really could get past Pan Am security unless you really knew what you were doing. But I'm just saying that a lot of people showing up, trying it, that leads to a lot of security and hassle that they don't want their customers seeing.
Yes, I have. With the incident aboard a jetliner, this incident I'm speaking of, there was an Australian student 14-year-old, who tried it, and he fell out of the wheel well. And that's why they brought me to the Grand Inquiry in